And I hope you enjoyed Paula Santi's breakfast this morning. We're honored to have both Mayor Hilda McDonald and Mayor Nelson Santos join us for our 15th annual Mayor's Breakfast. It's my pleasure to welcome our sponsor, Windsor Family Credit Union, our chamber members, and our guests. We thank you all for your support. I'm Wendy Parsons, the General Manager with the Leamington District Chamber of Commerce, and once again, another record has been broken. This is our largest hosted webinar Zoom meeting yet to date, and I thank you to all that are joining in today. I also thank the municipality of Leamington, who's offered their support in this new webinar format, and they're helping us with any of our technical issues. So as you can see, our backgrounds all didn't work, but it's all good. The mayors do, and we're happy with that. The Chamber has been very busy over the last year advocating for many programs that have been made available through our governments. The Leamington District Chamber of Commerce has strong partnerships with both the Ontario and the Canadian Chambers of Commerce, and we have a strong voice with the government. We are listening and we are acting to what our business communities are asking for. As we continue to push advocacy for the coming year, major themes are very clear, such as vaccine distribution and deployment, reopening our businesses safely, and economic recovery. We encourage you to share suggestions, questions, or concerns you or your staff have regarding any of these issues. We also welcome feedback on other themes or areas of concern that we should be keeping in mind. Working with our partners, we will continue to keep you informed. I did look through my notes last year, and I mentioned that we're here to help our communities any way we can all benefit by partnering with various community businesses and organizations. Collaboration works. This statement held true, so true throughout 2020, and we will definitely continue as we all get through this nightmare. Please feel free to use the chamber as a resource to answer questions, and we will advocate on your behalf. At this time, I would like to welcome our chamber president to the screen, Jen Dawson.
Thank you, Wendy. Good morning, and a big thanks to everyone who is joining us online this morning. Thank you to WFCU for being our general sponsor today, and thank you to Mayor McDonald and Mayor Santos for helping us once again deliver this very popular January event. I also want to thank the town of Leamington staff for their help with some technical support this morning. They did a really good job, even though I couldn't get that background downloaded, so that we could bring this to you online in a safe way this year. Can you believe it? Last year at this time, COVID was only just starting to make some headlines in the news. Who would have thought that we'd be here today? I only wish we could have figured out how to way to deliver the amazing aroma of Joe Colasanti's famous cinnamon sugar donuts, but that's a technical skill both Wendy and I truly do not have. So thank you so much. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge a few people that without their dedication and loyal public service, most of what we have all come to rely on in our municipalities wouldn't be possible. So please welcome from Kingsville, CEO John Norton, and Kingsville councillors Thomas Neufeld, Tony Gaffin, Kim DeYoung, Laura Lucier. And I'd also like to welcome Leamington CEO Peter Neufeld, Leamington Deputy Mayor Larry Verbicki, and Leamington councillors Tim Wilkinson, John Hammond, Paul Thiessen, and Trevor Jones. And from our Mexican consulate, Dario Alberto Bernal Acero. And I'd also like to acknowledge that we have a few of our valued Leamington Chamber Board members today with us. We have from BDC, Curtis LeBute, from our Business Resource Center, Charlene Houle, Community Futures Essex County, Diane Molifant, Community Living, Tony DeSantis, and from Days Inn, we have Anu Jean, Paul Thompson from Libro Credit Union, Nicole Anderson from Ricci Enns and Rollier, and from Windsor Essex Economic Development Corporation, Marianne Fantetti. Please forgive me if I've missed anyone today. Thank you again for your perseverance and collaborative efforts that contribute to the greater good for all of us. It is greatly appreciated. And now I'd like to welcome Jason Ilyanik, Director Commercial Services with WFCU, our event sponsor today, to share a few words.
Thank you, Jen. Hopefully everyone can hear me and see me. It's great to be here with everyone today. So again, Jason Ilyanik, Director Commercial Services for WFC Credit Union. It's always a pleasure to be here. I guess not, virtually to be sponsoring this breakfast, this annual event, and although under very different circumstances, of course. So, like everyone was commenting earlier on, normally I would be also commenting on the wonderful smell of the Kalasani donuts flowing through the air, but unfortunately, we can't say this to be the case. So I'm tipped off that there's a big delivery on the way to Mayor McDonald's house. So I might be there, dropping by there later on. So. Truly what a different time we are in. So remarkable. But on behalf of Eddie Francis, President and CEO of WFCU Credit Union, our board of directors, our wonderful staff, 49,000 members, I'm delighted to be here virtually to bring greetings. Last January, we gathered here in person, if you can imagine that, and listened to the mayors, Mayor Santos and McDonald. But we had no idea what was ahead of us. Truly did not know. This past year has tested us and challenged us in so many ways as a community and society as a whole, but it also brought us together for a common purpose, and our mayors have continued to lead us through these tremendously challenged times. We know this past year has been difficult for all, most especially our businesses and small businesses at that. The Leamington-Kingsville region undoubtedly took the brunt of the pandemic in early days and continues to battle the challenges present day. To Mayors McDonald and Santos, thank you for your tireless commitment and steadfast resolve in dealing with all that you've had to deal with and endure. I'm sure it was difficult, very difficult. We know you're doing everything possible to support our businesses while providing a safe environment, a most impossible task. WFCU Credit Union has seen firsthand the difference we, as a local business and organizations, can make in our communities together with our municipal partners. We continue to assist our customers and businesses as they work and navigate their way through this pandemic. We are a financial institution invested in the economic and social development of the communities we serve. Committed to giving back to our members and supporting our members, we continually seek to develop new products and services over the years, and we have stepped up and assisted through these difficult times. We also continue to increase our presence across the province. This past October, we were proud to announce that Education Credit Union had joined WFCU. And with this, we're excited to offer our products and services in the Kitchener, Cambridge, Waterloo areas. With strategic market growth plans well underway, the one thing that will always remain constant is that Windsor-Essex will always be our backyard and our home. WFCU Credit Union was recognized and named to the 2020 list of best workplaces in financial services and insurance. Also named 2020 list of best workplaces for giving back, as well as being named 24th on the year's best workplaces in Canada. So truly, we are proud of our accomplishments. I know our employees and members are as well. We thrive because of the tremendous support of our members in Leamington, Kingsville, and throughout this entire region. Over the past 5 years, WFCU Credit Union has invested nearly $18 million in our communities, $18 million. For example, recently we supported efforts in Kingsville with their new pickleball courts. In 2019, it was estimated that there were 75,000 Canadians playing pickleball, and it's been skyrocketing. I still don't know what pickleball is, but perhaps one day Mayor Santos and I can hit the courts. We hope that the residents will soon be able to play this game again, this popular and growing game. As a locally operated business and proud Leamington Chamber of Commerce member, again, WFCU Credit Union is pleased to be sponsoring today's virtual breakfast. Congratulations to Wendy, Jen, the Leamington Chamber, the board, for putting this together, pivoting and trying to continue to help our small businesses and businesses alike through these difficult times. We look forward to hearing from you, Mayor McDonald and Mayor Santos. Thank you again for your leadership and commitment that you've shown as our communities navigate through these most difficult times. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Jason, and WFCU for your valuable community contributions and to help making Windsor-Essex County a better place to live and work. We thank you. So now I am not sure how we chose who got to go first this year. I'm sure there's some sort of plan because we couldn't get together to flip a coin this year. But now I would like to welcome Kingsville Mayor Nelson Santos to your screen to share a few words.
All right, good morning. Certainly local chamber friends, our neighbors, fellow members of council, our business community, ladies and gentlemen. Normally, I love reciting in front of you, give you a warm welcome from the comforts of the paradise that we recognize as Colasanti Tropical Gardens, where we're blessed with glorious food and the ever tempting donuts. And I thought I smelled a couple in the chambers today, but they escaped our grasp really quickly. But today, my greetings do come to you from Zoom, Ontario. Now, that's someplace that is both south of London and Detroit at the same time, and still yet in glorious Canada. So I know, it's not a typo. This place is real, and it's literally just a click away. So how do you find a bite to eat for this breakfast with the mayors is certainly a challenging one to answer this year. It also reminds me to ask you, did you hear about the restaurant on the moon? Great food, no atmosphere? Yeah, I know, dad jokes. I can't get away from them. I got to bring them in every once in a while. It's been such a serious year. We have to have some fun. But don't worry, I do have a million of them. You don't need to ask. But if you're looking for atmosphere, keep your eyes out for Kingsville's Open Streets 2021 as the town opens its doors and its streets again in support of small business in a safe and responsible way. Oh, wow, where do you start? I think the introductions have been just superb, trying to reflect on what 2020 was. And it's certainly been an incredulous year. Since our last Outlook event, it's been numbing. It's been a nightmare. It's been an awakening. My goodness, it's been all things. Yet look where we are. Despite all things, we are here. And where once we filled the gardens with your presence, I still see each of you now, in front of me, to my left, to my right, to the top. It's not your regular Brady Bunch or traditional matrix, but your presence here, let me tell you, means so much more. It means more to us, more to the chamber and to your community that you're here. It means your hope and your support for our communities are here within the bounty of the county. And here at home in Kingsville and Leamington, it certainly remains strong. Thank you for that. Our chamber says thank you for all that each of you bring to the table and for what each of you do for us in our communities. Last year, if anyone remembers, I spoke of how getting here to this event represents our ability to have captured another chapter in our story. What a difference a year makes. I look out to you now and I see survivors, I see fighters, I see a business community that is the best of the best and will bring out the best. Your community sees it, they too see you, and they want to support you. They're there with you supporting local. And to make sure you have no doubts, Mayor Hilda and I, our councils, our staff, our municipalities will keep supporting you and finding ways to keep carrying your voices along this journey. 2020 has been a year of life changes, life altering for so many, for everyone. We're writing and rewriting the playbook, responding to a pandemic. Each step of the way, each zone, each level of economic shutdown, reopening and recovery. So many challenges in these times. But look who's here and who surrounds your screen this morning. It's us. We're all focused, looking each day to go and to do better. Encouragement to go and be resilient, to be strong, create better. At our rinks, we find encouragement through more cowbell. Don't have the cowbells today. But why do cows wear bells? Because their horns don't work. My daughter wanted me to put that one in there, just to let you guys know. She's 5. Now, I know you're just wondering where I store all my dad jokes. Yep, it's a real database. Data, right? Oh boy. Okay, we need more cowbells for sure. Seriously though, in a year that we just experienced, I've never seen such amazing strength from our communities and so many stories of outreach. Supporting those in need, the vulnerable, the frontline workers, the hearts around for our healthcare, to all of those providing care and securing safety in healthcare, in hospitals, in long-term care, in our EMS, our fire policing, our enforcement. Thank you. We're thinking of you and we support you and are incredibly grateful. This pandemic has opened up new territory, exposed some old wounds, and fed on gaps that have still remained. It knows no boundaries as it crosses complex jurisdictions, leaving an uphill battle for us at the municipal level. Mayor McDonald and I live in this jurisdictional web every day. We're at the forefront, but not afforded the tools, legislation, or authority to fully fill the gaps. There are federal and provincial programs, policies, and regulations that we know need to get greater oversight. We keep on keeping on. In the pursuit of that, our upper levels of government, they will take the legislative duties full circle and provide the resources that will make the impact and get the results we all seek for safety. We press on every day and every week and reflect that the lessons we have learned from day one to the experience and the investments that we've made to help create safe environments, they should not be ignored and should be used to provide balance and fairness. There's no way I cannot speak of this today. Sharing our small business frustrations over the unlevel playing field. I have to thank the Chamber for the many efforts your leadership has provided over this past year, opening up the channels of communications, leveraging your connection with provincial and regional chambers, hosting Zoom screen tables, supporting and advocating for business, helping outline strategies and programs that truly has helped support businesses affected by the pandemic. Your presence has been felt and is still here today, showcasing what needs to be done. To our local BIAs who've also stepped up, where both Leamington and Kingsville hosted well-represented press conference in the height of the lockdown, again, seeking fairness and supports. And since that time, so much investment in making our small businesses safe with PPE, additional protocols, contact tracing, they were put in play. The statistics don't lie, as the small businesses held a very strong safety record and still do. Yet they are again the most affected by the lockdowns. And as the lessons learned and experience have not been taken into account as we progress into this pandemic waves, that's the level of unfairness. We aren't letting that go. And I'm appreciative of the businesses who have helped our local letter campaign, helping seek that fairness. On the business side of economic development, from our municipality, Kingsville did complete its business retention and expansion project by mid-year 2020. This partially funded project under the province's RED program, like many of us this past year, actually had to pivot as well in the final phases. And it also allowed us to introduce some immediate COVID-19 recovery responses and business follow-up. Today, when you ask what's Kingsville doing or offering, the town did institute some safe reopening grants of funds for qualifying businesses, and then gave modified consideration to additional Kingsville-based charities to allow them to continue to do their work safer as well. The town has since revamped and updated our mykingsville.ca website. The support from our tourism coordinator and recognition from our community-based tourism and economic development committee. We have some new info on sections like takeout, delivery, and curbside, retail curbside, additional updates about COVID-19 details and business supports provided provincially, federally, and locally. That's all in one place now for local businesses to get a link to and get information for. The action plans, these were all endorsed by our council and recognize the key partnerships, including this chamber, our local BIAs, our Tourism Windsor Essex Pelee Island, TWEPI, our WEETC, Windsor Essex County Development Corporate Commission. That's all that we need to get us through. And we need you to ensure that we can get through this together. And with that, let's move to a question where we have some greater insights. Outside of the pandemic, where did 2020 leave us and what's ringing in for 2021? On the residential side of growth, our municipality was home to 162 new dwellings created last year at a construction value of just over $80 million. And it represents a 53% increase in new homes over the previous year, with a value of $42 million higher. As the steady growth in the residential sector continues, the numbers are telling quite a story beyond the welcoming of new residents. We're also seeing new employment opportunities and developments in both our commercial and industrial sectors. It's clearly showing that we are home to new jobs. Now, there's no greater understatement than how 2020 challenged our business community and how it even translated into the end of days for some of our most prolific establishments. Yet there is yet a light of hope for us. And while we continue our fight for small business fairness and pursue safe reopenings for our business community here, you may want to take note and accept our appreciation for your confidence in Kingsville this past year. The courage and heart of small business found a way to open new services and jobs. We opened 17 new commercial permits, valued at an investment of over $3.3 million. And when jobs are part of the collective goal, this commercial investment combined with new industrial development added another 11 permits for a construction value of over $2 million. Now, these are gains in times when lockdowns and non-essential labels are threatening significant losses. Somehow this is amazing. It's incredible to see the continued investment and support for our community, even in these very difficult times. That's a lot of courage. Now, further, this combined growth will not only add to our much needed assessment base, their arrival and new construction permits are immediately contributing to the future infrastructure investment and helping fund growth pressures. Our development charges help raise another $1.8 million, showing that new development is buying into the community. This money is helping the town facilitate new growth for years to come. This new financial tool, which is indexed annually to inflation, continues to assist our municipality in our infrastructure planning for the future. The 2020 collections represents nearly 10% of our property tax levy this year. In short verse, that means without a DC strategy, the town will be looking to raise taxes by 10% to generate this type of funding. Now, I'll get into key capital projects for our 2021s shortly, but I do want to I have to take note of those projects that are fully or primarily funded through development charges. These future planning and growth projects include enhancing our Road 2 East roadway and water mains, the Jasperson Lane realignment to accommodate the new school location, a new Ruthven Park, and a first Ruthven Park, our Southwestern Region water main installation that looks to accommodate into the future over 2,946 residential units on the west side of Kingsville. Then our Cottam Sewer sanitary sewer upgrade that's going to support another 293 residential units into the future. We're planning ahead. We're putting the pieces we need in the ground ahead of time, in advance and in planning. Now, this past year, the total construction value, reported over $175 million through 478 permits. That's a busy department. That's an increase of over $10.5 million compared to 2019 in a year where we were mostly shut down. The greenhouse sector, saw 9 new permits covering 72 new acres at a value of $42.8 million. Other agriculture development equally saw increases in the value of 24 permits, over $33.5 million. That's up from $11 million the year prior. Agriculture is a true workhorse in our community, a true representative of our economic engine, and part of the true needs and jobs that we need to secure in the diversity that we seek across our region. Now, for our building department, this represents the 4th consecutive year that their total annual permits issued were over 400. So on the infrastructure side and plans for 2021, our draft municipal budget is looking at preliminary capital works program of over $18 million in expenditures. These include enhancements in our roads, which will see the next 2 phases of Jasperson Lane improvements, totaling just under $4 million, representing that clean path for the anticipated $40 million build of the K-12 public school that our Greater Essex County District School Board is designing for Kingsville, with a goal for opening in September of 2023. Now, a public viewing of the recently completed draft design and plans for the school are being presented for public feedback and suggestions next week. So mark Thursday, January 21st, 6 p.m. on your calendars. There will be a virtual presentation being made via link directly from the board website at www.publicboard.ca. Now, as Main Street construction is slated for its final touches in early 2021, the next significant roadworks project is set to commence this year with the much needed $4.7 million reconstruction and water main renewal on Road 2 East from Union Avenue to Graham Side Road. Additional road program capital sees the final lifts being put in place to complete Road 6 repairs that commenced last year. We'll see Graham Side Road. We'll see another $1.3 million in resurfacing from County Road 18 all the way to County Road 8. Clark Street reconstruction is also approved for this year from County Road 34 East all the way to William Street in Cottam. Now, as council returns to the budget table in a couple weeks, focus progress on parks and recreation enhancements, they're certainly on tap. Investments in new and replacement playground equipment will continue in the effort to provide that balance to the quality of life and place for families, seniors, youth, residents, and visitors in Kingsville. On this list features the highly anticipated construction and establishment of permanent pickleball and bocce courts on the grounds of the Kingsville Recreation Center. This is going to serve as the enhancement to the refurbished tennis and pickleball courts that were installed in Ridgeview Park and Cottam. So yes, Jason, we're ready to play. I've got a couple wiffle balls, so we'll definitely swing that across the way and get you playing the most popular game in the world. The new and first official park development in Ruthven, with phase 1 estimated at $125,000, is in play for installation this year. The works to install a new splash pad at Lakeside Park is planned and under consideration with the budget, along with the second phase of the Kingsville Lions Park development, including a multi-use court, shade structure, pathway extensions to complement the recently completed outdoor basketball court. Now, our very own Lions Club of Kingsville is looking to sign on in partnership with the town to help lead the new playground installation. More to come on that shortly. So, of course, continued baseball diamond renewal resumes again this year for Diamond 3 in Cottam and Diamond 1 in Kingsville. And when we met last year, 2020 was just opening its doors. The outlook for our communities was carrying significant positive momentum. We did carry momentum into this year. Now, I referenced the town's relatively new strategic plan at the time as well, and I noted that sculpting this vision of 2020 and better had taken time and patience, along with public input and participation. Never did we imagine just how much this past year would test our time and patience. The apocalyptic journey that 2020 has taken with this pandemic at the wheel is testing each and every strategy across the globe. Our council is going to review the strategy over the next few months and with a public voice to help us once again establish a progressive agenda for community life to thrive within a quality of space and place. So why now? Why not? It's an added call to service and a response that's needed both in part to embrace the lessons we've learned in the past year and to the need of our resilient communities for business as well as for the pleasure that we call at home. The communities that we knew pre-pandemic have forever been changed. Even now, with these stay-at-home orders, I unfortunately can only tell inside jokes. I know, I gotta stop. While the sense of normal is being redefined, that's not the case for our spirit. South Shore Strong has stood up and been our battle cry. and South Shore strong we shall remain. Thank you, friends, for your time, your dedication to our communities. Thank you for this opportunity to share our cautiously optimistic outlook for this year. May our history of working together continue to lead us united into a strong future. Remember, it's not I, nor is it just you. It is us. It's our team. And when I is replaced with we, even illness becomes wellness. So let's be well together. And even if it has to be 6 feet apart for now, we are South Shore strong. Merci, mes amis.
Thank you, Mayor Santos. And how did I know that cowbell would make it back into this virtual meeting? I can hear it in the background, ding, ding, ding. And your outside jokes for your inside jokes are always a joy. So thank you so much. And last but not least, please welcome Leamington Mayor Hilda McDonald to your screen for her to share a few words.
Good morning. Well, few might not be what you get, Jen, but I'll try. So here we sit at the beginning of a new year, and what a year 2020 has been. I'm honored to be able to sit here and chat with all of you. I'm honored to be invited by the Chamber, and I'm honored that those of you that are on this Zoom webinar are interested enough to be here. So I thank you for that. And as Jen said, and the mayor said, and Jason said, can you believe that this time last year we had no idea what lay ahead? I look at the pictures on my Facebook page in the memories, and I can't believe that we were oblivious to what was ahead, or that even a year ago, mid-March, we would ever have thought we would still at this point in time be in the midst of COVID. I remember last spring, Mayor Dilkins calling a meeting of the leaders in the region. There was government, healthcare, emergency management, fire, law enforcement, and we were there to discuss what processes and procedures would be should the pandemic come to this region. It seemed impossible and surreal. And the mood, I will tell you, at that meeting was certainly not one of foreboding, but more like impossibility. And then I remember, and I will remember till my last day, when I got the call from Mary Shores Healthcare asking if the municipality would be willing to offer up the sports complex as a temporary morgue should the need arise. And when I got off that call, I turned to my hubby and I said, stuff just got real. And it stayed like that. It's still like that. So as a municipality, we were challenged, but we certainly were not stopped by the pandemic. We had to pivot, and that has become one of my favorite words, pivot. And Mayor Santos used it as well. I think it's the new catchword. So we had to pivot and we had to find a new direction. And we based that on the foundations built in the past with the opportunities of the present, but also with a workforce that was ready, willing, and able to adapt. And that is a lesson of these times, not only for government, but also for businesses, for you yourselves, large and small. Those ready, willing, and able to adapt can move on. And those not, I'm sorry, are left behind. So 2020, what did we do? And I had to take a moment to separate the regular work from the pandemic work, two different, totally different worlds. So let's start with the regular. So the reinvention of our uptown continued, and you may remember the goal being to attract renewed interest and reinvestment to the core of our town. We redid John Street, Queens Avenue, sewer separation, road reconstruction, new sidewalks, created a piazza kind of feeling in the area right across from the library, or right around the library in the area of our Italian Centennial Park. And then Shot Parquet was enhanced with gardens and benches and a lovely sculpture courtesy of the Horticultural Society. We also completed a new park on the former Village Inn property, seating, a large clock, a gazebo, another beautiful visual in our uptown. Our Reinvent This Space project, and if you remember this from last year, I'm not sure that we talked about it at the mayor's breakfast or not, but it was designed to encourage new businesses to locate in our core. And we assisted with a year of rent monies, as well as the assistance of a group of business professionals that came to mentor and guide the winning applicant. The timing to open during the lockdown for our winning applicant was not good. Christine's Bake Shop with our friend Christine was not able to open during the time. It was really not wise to either, but she will be opening as soon as businesses are able to welcome customers to their premises again. Council was very happy with the response to that initiative and have planned in the budget to continue with support for it in this coming year. Most of our capital projects were delayed or held up. Despite that, we were still able to invest over $20 million in capital improvements for the community. We continued with sewer separation and street reconstruction in the Williams, Gladstone, Melrose subdivision. And I have to tell you, I remember when that neighborhood was established. I was kindergarten in grade 1, so you have a rough idea how old those pipes would be. Council gave direction through our strategic plan that we will continue to invest in renewing infrastructure as well as in building new, and this will allow us to service lands needed for future growth. These are costly ventures, but necessary for the sustainable future of not only our community, but for the planet itself. And we continue through 2020 to lobby upper levels of government for a North Trunk sewer, engaging with partners like OGVG, the Ontario Greenhouse Vegetable Growers, to make our ask stronger. Leamington's exponential growth of the last 20 years continued, or of the last few years, I should say, continued in 2020. Our construction value for this past year came in at slightly over $200 million, despite the slowdowns and the short shutdown in the construction industry. This is over $9 million more than last year. And prior to that, up until and including 2014, the annual construction investment ranged between $35 and $40 million, and it has continued to climb. That's amazing. But you know, we are no longer the tomato capital of Canada, or just the tomato capital of Canada, but rather the greenhouse capital of North America. And this comes at a cost, as we have seen with rural road breakdown, light pollution, and water capacity. Council is working with staff to find a delicate balance between economic development for our community and quality of life for our residents. And these are not easy, neither are they quick solutions, but we are determined to find that balance. Our rapidly growing and evolving community has also led to some concerns about our level of policing. We're no longer the small rural community we once were, and that many of our community neighbors still are. We have worked to recognize, or to have some recognition, I should say, of our city issues with the OPP, but we met with some pushback. Council decided to put out a request for proposals to other policing services to see if that we could do better for our community. That's a work in progress. Hopefully by late spring, early summer, council will be making a decision. And on a personal note, I was re-elected to the board of directors of the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. I had been appointed last year when I was first elected to this chair, but this year there was an election, and I'm on that board again. I was also asked to be vice chair of the Ontario Small Urban Municipalities. Now, these are more than just personal accomplishments. They place our municipality on the radar of upper levels of government, and our voice tends to be recognized and heard because of our affiliation with these fairly powerful boards. And it isn't just our community, it's our region as well. So it's good to have a member from Windsor-Essex to be on these boards. And lastly, in regards to last year, I cannot fail to mention the loss of our colleague and friend, Councillor John Jacobs. His level of engagement and his voice will be missed, not only by his council friends, staff, and administration, but also the many friends he made during his 10 years as a contributing member of municipal council, or municipal government. And in his place, we welcome our new councillor, Trevor Jones, who's on this webinar today. We look forward to working with Trevor for the remainder of this term. He's already been appointed to many of the same committees and boards that Councillor Jacobs was on, so lots of you will get to meet him and get to know him better in the coming months. Now, in respect to COVID. We declared the emergency on March 22nd, as did most of our friends in the county. Because of the modernization of our service through a very robust IT department over the past few years, we were able to pivot, again, that word, as an organization, and we were able to continue to provide for our residents throughout the pandemic without any interruption of municipal services. All our staff continued to work from the various buildings or from home. Some staff were redeployed for or to actually other departments, and other departments needed more manpower, and that was a very workable situation. Our parks still needed to be maintained, particularly in the light of the fact that people needed to get outdoors after that initial lockdown. Our public spaces proved to be invaluable. Residents could still get fresh air, exercise, or relax while physical distancing. Our bylaw department, our officers were required to be in full force to warn people about the provincial orders and health guidelines. They worked well with police and security, a security firm who we hired to man the waterfront on weekends. My first month, well, I say my first month, but even up until yesterday, still spent coordinating partners in the community with other services, other organizations to get PPE, to answer questions, to get issues noticed by the province and the federal government. I had an email from a critic that said I was doing work outside the normal realm of a mayor. Absolutely right. But so was every other mayor. Mayor Nelson is doing things he didn't have to do before or want to do. But so was administration. We were coordinating with public health, with emergency management, healthcare, sometimes on a daily basis. Why? Because it needed to be done. And if we didn't do it, I can tell you, nobody else was going to do it for our community. In early days, we found a hesitancy from agencies, organizations, and may I even say upper levels of government to take ownership. So it fell upon the mayors to call for it. Did Mayor Santos and I want to be calling the premier on his cell phone? Absolutely not. The day I did it, it felt surreal. Who do I think I am calling the premier? But we had to make our voices heard. Had we not done that, I believe the urgency to get us to level 3 would not have been there, and he certainly would not have come here for a haircut and a meeting with a number of us. Both myself and Mayor Santos met a number of times via Zoom and then in person with the Minister of Agriculture, Ernie Hardeman. We were able to voice our concerns and those of our respective communities in regards to testing, isolation, and quarantine practices in the agricultural industry. And again, had we not spoken up, I don't believe we would have been given these opportunities. I'm not sure if you remember me telling this or not, or even if I mentioned it last year, but in the first few months of my term as mayor, I was approached by some members of the faith community to talk about setting up a homeless facility in our community. Over the months of pre-COVID, we met on a monthly basis, doing our homework, meeting with folks from the city and Essex County, trying to come up with a plan, long-term outlook to arrange a facility if possible. During that time, 2 of our churches expanded their meal plans to weekly hot meals for those in need, and they continued those meals on a takeout basis throughout these past 10 months. Some members of our committee secured funding to buy supplies for those living on the street and handed out tarps and jackets, hygiene products, food. And during the very early months of the pandemic, we were very close to securing a temporary facility, but before we got very far, we moved into phase 2. That allowed buildings to open up, the weather got warmer, the urgency seemed to diminish, and we lost the availability of the building. Now our group continued to meet not quite as regularly, but we met enough that we were able to secure a Trillium grant, and we have now hired a project coordinator for our homelessness strategy group, hoping to get to the point of being able to set up a facility for people with short-term housing issues. Stay tuned. I'm hopeful we can see this project through to completion in the future, working with all of our partners, community and county. Because of concern for the county's and the community's well-being, I should say, not the county, this is the community, and the economic condition, council waived all penalties and interest charges on municipal payments from March to December, much like many of our county colleagues. Recognizing that the hardships will not end in 2020, council passed a 0% budget for 2021. COVID makes our plans very fluid. Some days our intentions in the morning are not the same as in the evening. You know what, I'm even exaggerating. Sometimes our plans change in 10 minutes, don't they, Mayor Nelson? One extreme to the next. And I'm speaking here for council and administration, not just myself. We're all working together very well, extremely well as a unit. I hate to use that word team because so often team gets bastardized, but as a unit working together with a common goal. Yes, we are all working outside our realm and our scope, but that is what is needed, and we will continue to do this for our community until we are on the other side of this global issue. And what about the future? Can we see beyond the weeds? Never before have we as a community, or even as a world, had to dig so deep to find encouragement to look ahead, but look ahead we must. So council will continue to work with businesses and industry to find solutions to improve their ability to prosper, keeping in mind impacts on the community and the environment. Light pollution in housing for agri-food workers, those problems are not going to go away, and yet we are not at ideal conclusions. Water capacity for the greenhouse industry will be another hot topic of conversation in the coming months. That conversation is not exclusive to just this municipal government or that of my colleague Mayor Santos, but also our partners in the Union water system, who may not have the same priorities as we do. We will continue to replace and build infrastructure based on the need for renewal as we continue to plan for future growth. Another urban neighborhood is scheduled for sewer separation, road and sidewalk construction this coming year, and future sewer builds are in the preliminary stages for new residential growth, as well as continued industrial and agricultural. Upper levels may be hard pressed to continue levels of funding based on the expenses of the pandemic. And this is a reality that many of us on the various community councils have already discussed. More than likely, our funding amounts will decrease. And in our municipality, residents may have to find a new mindset when it comes to things like selling naming rights that take away the burden of renewal costs off of themselves, the taxpayer. These naming rights exist for set amounts of time and will be open again to the highest bidder at some time in the future. We will continue to recognize the groups that have contributed in the past, but the opportunity for other income revenue streams will be something many municipalities will need to be looking to do, again, because of the lack of upstream funding and taxpayer limits. Our uptown reinvention will continue, but at a slower pace. We want to make our core area a place where businesses want to open up, to thrive, and where our residents want to walk, dine, sit, and stroll. Our community improvement plan is also expanding, allowing more businesses in designated areas to take advantage of these grants. Council wants to embark on planning for new CIP areas within our community as well. Hate to say it, but plans are on hold for Mill Street Market and the amphitheater until we see when large group limits, events limits are lifted and if the restrictions remain in place. And once it is safe to do so, I don't know about you, but I so look forward to celebrating together in our public spaces once again. We also look forward to the opportunities that are going to present themselves as our Caldwell First Nations expand their interest on their newly designated reservation lands. Their intent is to build a sustainable future for the next generations by creating economic development initiatives on their property. We are anticipating a continued good working relationship with our Indigenous friends and neighbors. We will continue to be an inclusive community to the many diverse cultures and to the people who have chosen to live and work here in Leamington. From refugee families who have chosen to settle here to our offshore workers who work in our community, we want to be seen as welcoming and appreciative of their presence. Our waterfront master plan will be rolled out to council later this year, and decisions will need to be made in response to next steps for an area of the municipality that draws residents and tourists alike. Hopefully, this will involve opportunities for private and public partnerships to reap the benefits of playing and living on our beautiful lakeshore. And then today, January 15th, is the closing date on the purchase of the former Leamington District Secondary School property, as well as the former Mill Street School property by the municipality. Council and administration will be working together with developers to create opportunities for more affordable and attainable housing on these properties and to support some other long-term strategic plans. This is big news for us. More details will be made available after the purchases are closed and the potential partnerships are explored. We as council have been very excited at this opportunity, and I'm thrilled to be able to announce it today. This is an opportunity to see the beginning of better housing opportunities for residents and for newcomers who have been unable, I should say, to settle here due to the lack of affordable properties. Not every community has an opportunity like this one to see the beginning of a resolution to a housing crisis that is a national problem, not just a local one. And to me, this is a beacon of hope, an example of how we look forward to a great future in our community despite the precarious times we are in at the moment. Short range plans are to get through the next few months with COVID restrictions still in place and vaccinations expected to be distributed to the communities in the county. We will continue to lobby the provincial government for support of small business. These are the folks hardest hit by closure, occupancy restrictions, and curbside service only. We will work diligently with healthcare, public health, and other community and regional partners to make sure the best interest of the municipality of Leamington and its residents are front and center. We continue to appreciate and support our frontline workers for all they do, and we can't say that enough. Whether they work on the front lines in healthcare, in the grocery store, the pharmacy, law enforcement, or teaching our children in the classroom or online, and so many other workplaces that never get recognized, thank you. Thank you for your service. As I look back at the past year with wonder at how quickly it passed, despite all odds, and I look to the future with just a little bit of trepidation, I have to think of the lessons learned. First, we learned that we must care as much for our most vulnerable as we do for our least vulnerable. We learned that we must ensure the same housing standards for anyone who lives within our borders. We learned that skimping on health care has a bigger price tag than paying full price. We learned that every job has value and that sometimes those that get paid the least are the ones we value the most. We learned to pivot because that is how we evolve and that is how we survive. We continue to invest in our community despite setbacks. We base this on short and long-term strategic plans that are built on priorities set at the beginning of this term of council. And we must continue to plan and prepare for recovery. We, council and administration, look forward, remembering the past, learning from that past, but never losing hope or confidence in a better future and in better times ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor McDonald and Mayor Santos, for sharing your insights and visions with all of us this morning. A few takeaways for myself is that where there is passion, planning or replanning or pivoting for sure, progress finds a way. This, based on what both of you have shared with us today, even under the most extreme circumstances, you have found a way to still make progress. And congratulations on those efforts, honestly. So many of our businesses have had to deal with extremely difficult decisions. Some have pivoted and found new revenue opportunities or growth that they never knew possible. Some have held steady and just tried to hold on through this pandemic and try to hold on to what they have cherished for so many years. And some have decided this pandemic is just not for them, and then they cannot contend with it, and they're waiting patiently to restart. The one thing that rings true is this room, this group of people, and many, many more. Our community is full of supporters and full of people who advise, support, and can help. Please, if you need help, reach out. Even just on this call, there's many of you I see here, our financial advisors, our bankers, our insurance people, local business leaders. Please, if you are struggling, please reach out. You never know what you might come across. So I am sure some of you have questions, and we will do our best to get in as many as we possibly can and be respectful of your valuable time. So if you have a question, we've also received some ahead of time, so I'm going to start with those. But please click on the raise your hand button on your screen, and it should be, if depending on what format you're using, you should be able to do that, and we will let you in. Please be patient if we run into any technical challenges, and we'll do our best. I'm just going to ask Wendy for approval. Would you like me to start with the ones that you sent me from the email?
Yes, I think, Jen, that they will ask their question.
Okay.
And
So,
if not, if they're, yeah.
Okay.
So I think we had Paula Ouellette first. Okay. We also have Dharmesh Patel.
Is someone letting them in, Wendy? Okay.
Okay, Jen, if you would like to just start asking Dharmesh's question, well, I'll just.
Okay, very good.
Hold on.
So as we kind of work through the technicals, Dharmesh Patel from Quality Inn here in Leamington, questions. So I'll start with the first one, which is, I give both Mayor Hilda McDonald and Mayor Nelson Santos an opportunity if they would like to comment. With the vaccine rollout not planned until the end of September possibly, and many festivals and tourism events for 2021 already being canceled, what is the town's approach to tourism going to be for 2021? And are there plans to fulfill positions that are vacant in the economic development and tourism space in the municipality?
From the sounds of it, that's directed at me. We have not filled those positions as of yet, Dharmesh. We have brought on a contract to work with tourism, and we're going to use our partners at TWEPI, and that is the plan going forward. We feel that it is premature to fill those spots at this point in time. As you said, particularly if it takes still some time to get the vaccine rolled out, and also with the limitations on public gatherings. And you know what, we will keep an eye on that. We will look to fill those if the need arises. We, as I said before, we are fairly fluid and recognize the issue. So our fingers on that pulse.
And just the other part of the question, if you want to make comment about, do we have any plans for the tourism events that maybe we're probably going to be canceled?
we didn't, we figured there would be some hold up, or we put aside some monies, but certainly not what we've done in the past, knowing that there would be more than likely no opportunity for large gathering.
Thank you. I don't know if Nelson, if you wanted to make comment about tourism activities in Kingsville.
I'll certainly be happy to. And again, not knowing, depending on what level we're stated in the pandemic, we certainly have, our volunteers working hard and diligently on our committees, our festival committees. We certainly trust in them that they're going to plan for events that will be safe, and if we can actually have large gatherings. We know there's going to be pending cancellations. That's similar to a repeat of 2020, but there are events and festivals that we can still try to put together that allows for some interaction, for the community to seek out. So we saw some good examples with our Migration Festival. We saw examples with our Fantasy of Lights. We saw a great example and certainly a twist on the Apple Festival for community living. All of these are very important for the functions that they provide for quality of life, for mental health, for activity in your community. So we're looking to find ways to incorporate that into the current year, again, safely. We have to find ways to hold parades. I think we all experienced a parade experience that we've never seen before, and how do we respond to that? People love parades, but we also want to be safe and maintain, obviously, the movability in our communities. So we're still going to be watching that very carefully. We're not giving up on it, but at the same time, we know what our limits are, and I think we're going to respect that for the safety of the community overall. So it's tourism is very important and vital for us in our neck of the woods. It's for lack of a better word, because it supports our small businesses, it supports our hospitality, it supports a lot of our ventures collectively and as a region. So we'll keep an eye on it for sure.
Thank you both. Thank you very much. And again, I totally agree. There's so much going on. We have to wait. Wendy, did Paula end up getting able to raise her?
I'm not sure. So if you want to go ahead and ask her a question.
Okay. Thank you. So this question is from Paula, from Paula's Fish Place. So she has a question wondering if the town has done anything to help small businesses with aid to property taxes or sewer payments during the COVID-19, other than just deferring payments, as this may not be helpful for some businesses. So she makes comment about the amount of dollars that she's paid over the course of 2020. Oh, I just lost my screen. And being able to carry and pay the various business expenses that obviously do not go away. I did apply for government funding, but this still means I need to make money to pay this back, the deferred payments. Thank you in advance for looking into this. And can you make any comments about if there's any new programs or anything?
Yeah, because it's a Leamington resident. I'll answer that first, if that's okay, Mayor Nelson. Again, we have asked for a report from our finance department to come back to talk to us to council about deferrals again for 2021. For 2020, we felt that was a good move to do to help folks out. People are repaying those tax payments. We're where we need to be. The problem always comes up with, we lose about $40,000 a month when we institute that kind of a move where there is a deferral and no charges, no interest charges are charged. So that is problematic, because at the end that ends up being a tax increase when you're losing that amount of money. And we also felt we showed some restraint. We held the line on taxes, which will affect some things going forward, some things that we would have planned. And also the total deferral that has to come from the provincial government. We are not in a position to do that we can just off the top say, you don't have to pay taxes for 2020 or 2021, because we still are taking care of roads, picking up garbage, street lights come on. All of those things are still done and have to be paid for. So for us, yes, we did it for 2020. We will have the discussion for 2021. We felt that we showed some attempt to mitigate people's problems by not having a tax increase. There is also always the opportunity to meet with a finance department if people get into difficulty, but for us as well, the bills still accumulate and still need to be paid. So over and above an extra, are we going to give out financial handouts? No, that is not something we feel that we can do, but we will certainly look at the situation again. Council will. I think that is the best we can do based on the fact that we still need to operate.
Actually, also, Hilda, if I can just mention that yesterday, the Ontario Small Business Grant went live, and small businesses can get up to $20,000. So I was able to send that out to Paula yesterday too. So
if I can ask back, Wendy, is that a loan or is that
it's a grant?
Grant, good. Okay, good. Thank you. I knew it had rolled out, but I didn't know the particulars on it. Thank you.
May I also say, I read that the $20,000 up to $20,000 is not for property taxes, but the one that you did send out to me yesterday, it was a different one again, other than SWAT. And that one does help with electrical, gas, and property taxes.
I'll just maybe speak to the experience on the Kingsville side on the question, if that's okay. Certainly the municipality did initiate support for our small businesses. We had a safe restart plan that we introduced, again, sharing funds that we received from the province specific to COVID. We felt it was important to support the small business. $750 was an amount so we granted to qualifying businesses in our municipality. From that funding, we received, again, non-tax dollars, non-property tax dollars. We also helped to support a number of our local charities to help provide for their functions and events to remain safe. Again, just a percentage of the funds for them. And again, for 2021, we're still in budget deliberations looking at what provincial funding is available and how can we help share that pocket of dollars back to the businesses that we recognize they've already helped pay for. So it's just a different way. Again, I agree it's difficult to try to use property tax dollars in these cases, but when we're lobbying for businesses and we're able to succeed in getting dollars from the government that can help us support pandemic times, we'll certainly look at it as a collective council at the end of the day. So the 2021 update we'll hope to see in the next couple of weeks at our budget meeting, and then go from there.
Okay, and if there are any other questions on, if you could please just turn your camera on, and then they will let you into the meeting.
Thank you, Wendy. The technical nuances that we all have to learn as we do these. So I did have a couple of other questions, Wendy, from Dharma. Shall I ask those?
Sure.
Okay. So the next one is regarding construction. So here's a question from Darmish again from Quality Inn. What are the municipalities offering, if anything, incentive-wise, to encourage new construction or expansion to the area, which will result in job creation, given that 2021 may not result in any business, particularly in the hospitality sector? Hopefully that made sense.
Can you say that again? Sorry, it didn't to me.
Sure. What are the municipalities offering, if anything, incentive-wise, to encourage new construction expansion to the area, which will result in job creation, given that 2021 may not result in any business? And I'm going to add growth in here because I think that's part of the question, particularly in the hospitality sector. Good.
Want me to go first, Hilda? Give you a breather on that one?
Sure.
All right. Certainly, I mean, that's the big question. Economic development, continued opportunities to try to find, the courage from entrepreneurs to try to invest in these times is certainly difficult. In Kingsville, we've identified, community improvement plans, so CIP plans for different areas. So for Cottam, we have one in place, and we were starting to see supports for those coming forward that want to open brand new businesses. So there are incentives, those initiatives. We're looking to establish a stronger plan for the Kingsville boundary, for the commercial boundary there, as well as the Ruthven section as well, because we know we have some great opportunities with industrial vacant lands that are fully serviced and ready to see that. So collectively, don't have a specific answer, but certainly there are programs in place that will help respond. I guess we need to hear from them to see what those asks are, and I guess we'll proceed from that point. At the end of the day, the CIPs only have a certain amount of funding in their envelope, but if we know what kind of funding or needs there are, it's difficult to help set those parameters. So we'll be engaging the public as part of that CIP future development.
Well, for us, the CIP has been in place for quite some time. Again, it's limited. I know the project that Dharmesh is speaking of, and it wouldn't make a dent in his project. Other than that, no, I have to say we don't have anything like that. That would really be, shall we say, give them a leg up. There has been nothing in place. The CIP tends to be for building fronts and so on, facades and in some interior renovations, so that there is nothing that we have in place that would be a leg up at this point in time. Really something that we've never even discussed or been asked for. Again, when we're talking with taxpayer dollars, Dharmesh, we have to be very careful. Large amounts would certainly be something that would be hard pressed to give to private industry and for profit. So I don't even know if you'd ever see that through to completion. Again, like Mayor Santos said, we have done community improvement programs. They're very successful. We expect too that now that we've enlarged the areas, there will be much bigger competition for those dollars. We've left the same amount of dollars. But again, I will say for what you're asking for, no, there's nothing in place at this point in time, and I highly doubt that there will be. Full disclosure.
Thank you so much. Wendy, Jarmus had one more question, but it was really related to business property taxes. So I think it's, do you agree?
We do have some questions in the queue. If you would like to, if you're ready, they'll start announcing them and letting them in.
Yeah, no, that sounds good.
So we have Frank BT with a question.
Frank, can you please make sure, is it Frank, that you're unmuted? Thank you.
Okay, and I'm trying to turn my camera on. You would think, is my camera on? There I am. How you doing? How's everybody doing?
I can see you.
Yeah. I was glad to hear Mayor McDonald that the town bought the high school. That's where I learned to smoke and fight years ago. I'm a graduate back from 1976. I'm just curious if you can be a little more specific about the plans. And in particular, if any of the plans include providing housing for any offshore laborers.
We're still at the early stages, but that has not been part of the discussion, Frank. We're looking at integrated housing from affordable, subsidized small homes. We're looking to address the issue of the residents. The other is private. At this point in time, no, that has not been part of our conversation at all.
Okay, because I've often thought that might be a place where it could be a partial solution for the problem. And I know that others have mentioned that as well, but I don't know, just a thought.
Appreciated. And council members are on this call, and that can always be part of the conversation. We've been waiting for this opportunity to close. We didn't want to say anything ahead, and we didn't want to plan before we knew for sure it would happen. So that is starting. Administration certainly has been working behind the scenes, but council has not really had real in-depth conversations. I mean, that kind of thing can be on the table, but at this point in time, from my conversations, that has not been. We're looking, like I said, integrated housing for residents.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Nelson, did you want to make any comments, or that's mostly a Leamington thing?
It's all in Leamington, but it's addressing that national crisis that Mayor Hilda spoke of, and I obviously applaud and give kudos to that initiative. I know the frustration and certainly the long road it takes to get to working with not just your school boards and the provinces involved in that as well. I know from our perspective, we're are pretty linked in the concern for affordable and attainable housing. And, as I did speak about the new school being, built and focused for Kingsville K-12 in the very near future, but that also opens up to opportunities with a number of school properties that will be declared surplus. And the municipality and our council has certainly put support from, our affordable housing plan strategy to include the pursuit of two properties of former school lands. And we'll be hoping to be able to have, someone announce that as well from our municipality in the future about the municipality being able to acquire lands and help control the development and the future housing opportunities there. Again, dealing with attainable housing and structuring affordable housing opportunities, right here and in the core of our municipality. So kudos to Leamington. Well done.
Thank you, Mayor Nelson. Allison, do we have any more questions? Anyone? No other hands are raised at this time.
There are no other hands raised at this time, so if there were any more questions, now is the time to press the raise hand button.
Okay. You know what, I might ask.
Oh, sorry, Jen, we do have a question from Tony Gaffin. We're just promoting him into the meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much for giving me a chance to ask the question. My question is to both mayors. If they could find out from Dr. Ahmad, if we're all in this together, why manufacturing companies are still working that are non-essential in the county.
Well, the healthy in a question, we figured there'd be, maybe something that comes from there, certainly. Again, we're at the forefront, municipalities, so we don't have a lot of say in that direction. We certainly want to hear from, Dr. Ahmed and the health unit and the province as to, their rationale. When we went through the first steps, we looked at their essential workers list and essential employers, and they clarified that and classified that as, necessary for the economic engine for the country, so to speak. We haven't seen a lot of discussion around, their decisions as to why things are open now and why others haven't been adapted and fairly addressed across the board. We'd love to get answers, not just from Dr. Ahmed, but certainly from our provincial masters who at the cabinet level make the final determination on, what is essential and how can we, support small businesses. We got to look to our neighbors. We can't just look, internally, intrinsically anymore. What's happening across Canada? Are businesses being treated the same? Are they fair? Our neighboring province just announced supports for small businesses to reopen. Like that's today. That's news today. That talked about allowing shops like hairdressers and even tattoo shops to reopen safely with limits and protocols in place. It's the things we've been asking for collectively around this table, around this room, for the past 6 months, to be treated everybody fairly. Let's adopt that type of policy, nationwide. Recognize who's being safe, recognize the investments everyone has made. Everyone's given money, province, federal government, ourselves locally, to help make sure these businesses are safe and operating. They've adapted. You're a small business owner. You've adapted significantly. You've invested tremendous funds in trying to make your place of business safe, and you've done all the right things. You're still doing all the right things, but it's not being recognized through the experience that we've gone through. So certainly we're going to keep pushing that way, not just at the health unit, but provincially. We need that, and we need your voices.
Tony, thank you. As Mayor Santos said, we really don't have much input to the health unit because they don't answer to us. They answer, well, they don't, I guess they answer to the provincial government. We have certainly sent notification up the chain, but that is the best that we can do. I think right now that my opinion, personal opinion, is the province is trying to straddle that keeping people safe and keeping the economy open. Right or wrong, I think they're trying not to tick off some of the areas of the economic recovery, if you will, or the economic factor, and that's the best that they can do. And I get it. You try and keep everybody happy, and you can't do that. You just can't do that. Do I think they should have shut down to keep people safe? Well, for 2 weeks wouldn't have hurt and make it across the board the same, but they chose not to do that. We, as the mayor said, we have input, but that's the extent. That's the extent of our capability. So we do the best that we can. And when folks like you bring us your concerns, we push them up that chain or up that rope, whatever it is. But we try and keep you and your concerns front and center, but that's the best we can do. Then for us to explain their decisions, that's beyond my capability or the rest of my counterparts.
I had a second question, if I could.
Go ahead, Tom.
Yes, it's I'm just wondering if it's time for Nelson and Hilda, as well as maybe Mayor Snively from Essex, to approach the federal government on the Part 2 marijuana plants. And we've all heard whispers that there are issues a lot deeper than what we want to know. And just wondering if it's time for the 3 mayors to go to the federal government and ask for some assistance to come down and inspect them thoroughly on a regular basis.
I'll take this one. That's been ongoing. Just because it's not in social media, Tony, I've been doing that since January of 2019. And that kind of stuff does not make the public news media either, and we don't want it to. Those conversations have been had, are continuing to be had, and actually, as of last week, we're still going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly I think I'm supportive of, locally we've added our voice as well from council table. You're aware of, our resolutions and concerns around the lack of information or notice of the Part 2s, coming into our community, and us not being able to address it through, whether it's site plan controls or needs for nuisance, and thus leading to our nuisance bylaw that has been adopted. I think, if there's a will or need to add our voices together, Leamington, Essex, Kingsville, I think it just joins the collective voices that we're already seeing across the province. This isn't selective to just us. We're seeing many communities up the 401 dealing with the same concerns with Part 2. We're hearing the voices from our policing, our task forces that are in place, responding to them, creating tremendous strain on their resources and having to be able to respond to those. So it is a significant issue. I think, if anything, that we continue to message to the federal government is that we want, a balance of regulations. Treat Part 1s and Part 2s and their licensing the same, with the same requirements at the very least. It doesn't have to be the same grand scale, but certainly the requirements, because this same product, this same plant has the same impact whether it's in a 5-acre facility or whether it's in a backyard for location's sake. That needs to be, I think, addressed more equally. And I know they're dealing with a web of legislation, but it's still got to be something that can be brought into communities safely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. I'm being told that I think we don't have any more questions, correct, Wendy?
Correct.
Okay, great. And we're going good for time, but it's time to, you want to?
Your closing remarks, yes.
Okay, perfect. I just want to thank you both again, and the motivation and the passion and drive that both of you need to manage through some of these really unprecedented events. It just has us all in awe, and thank you so much. And thank you to everyone for all your questions and participation today. We all know it takes an engaged community to support our region's needs and goals, and we hope one day soon we can all get back to seeing you all in person safely, continue to the great work that we all do. Like many of you, we miss the ease of getting ready, running into our valued business partners, clients, and community leaders to chat about our plans and shared success over a favorite meal or a beverage at one of our favorite restaurants or event venues. Hopefully one day soon we will get back to something like that. And on that note, the Chamber embarked on a new strategic business plan at the end of 2019. And then, like many of you, the plans changed. We had to pivot direction during 2020. We want to try and get back on track and work on some of those plans that we felt were vital to the future success of our business community in Leamington and Kingsville specifically. So we will be sending out a survey after this event to revisit some of those key topics that resulted from some key community strategy sessions that some of you attended. We respectfully ask that you participate and provide us with some valuable feedback to ensure that these topics are still relevant and achievable for us today. And I'd also like to ask you to mark your calendars for some upcoming events that are really some of our hallmark events and we cherish deeply. Our annual golf tournament at the beautiful Erie Shores Golf Club is June 16th. And our annual Business Excellence Awards will be held on September 29th. And of course, how that will present will obviously be dependent on our COVID and the pandemic protocols in place at the time. And please stay informed by following us on social media. Sign up to receive our emails if you do not. We have valuable information for your business. And we still try and find ways to do some fun networking events online. Wendy's excellent at that. So stay informed if you possibly can. And of course, none of this would be possible without the dedication of our manager, Wendy Parsons. She puts her heart into everything she does and strives to help whoever calls. And whoever needs assistance. We are small but mighty, so please reach out. There is help at the other end of the phone. And I also would be remiss without a few words of support and encouragement for our local healthcare leaders and partners on the call today. Even if we may struggle at times with the changing protocols of this crippling pandemic, I beg of you to consider the impact our behaviors have on the lives of our local healthcare professionals, their staff, emergency responders, and our frontline workers. We all love or cherish one of these COVID crusaders. They are a part of our families, our circle of friends. They're our neighbors. Please stay safe and kind for their sake. At the Chamber, we always say, be seen, be heard, belong. But now we would like you to be seen being safe, be heard being kind, and belong to supporting your small business in any way you safely can. Thank you again for joining us this morning. And now I'd like to hand it back to Wendy for her closing remarks. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jen. I like the added addition to be seen, be heard, belong. That's lovely. But thank you everybody again for joining us on, as Nelson said, Zoom Ontario, because I know that most of the people on the call are zoomed out and just one after another. So we are pretty tired of Zoom, but it is working, and we thank you for your support with the different Zoom issues or Zoom events that we have had. And thank you also to Windsor Family Credit Union again for sponsoring today's event. And please remember that we are your business resource, and please feel free to reach out to me or by email, by phone, and we'll try to get the best answers we can. We might not know them right now, but we have a lot of partners that we're working with, well, municipally for sure, federal and provincial, and then our partners with the Chamber of Commerce. So it's really a good group of people that we can have help us. So please, everybody, stay home, stay safe, and always, always be kind. Have a wonderful day, and thank you again.